Back to Straight Facts with Big Steve and me. It's been a mad 24 hours in the transfer window. We're going to be dissecting that, getting Steve's opinions, also getting Steve's Straight Facts Premier League predictions for the season ahead. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, and of course, get your member and super chats in as well. But Steve, how are you, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Burnley. First game of the season proper. Had a taster of it weekend at the Charity Shield. So, yeah, and then fly out to Greece on Monday for the Super Cup on Wednesday against Seville. So, yeah, it's all go.
It is, mate. You go into the Burnley game?
Yeah, I'm working for City tomorrow on the pitch side before the game, do the teams and a bit of match analysis, and then I'll jump in the City end, and then after the game I'll do the post match and
nice.
Try and get the man of the match on or whoever, and that with City. It's a new role for me at City. It's good. It's one I'm enjoying at the minute, and I was pitch side at Wembley for the Charity Shield. That weekend was a mad experience for me. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
No, look good. I see some of your stuff on Instagram and that, mate. So well done with that. And as you say, like pitch side gets you like probably closer to the club than you've ever been before. It's content creating to a degree as well, which is obviously going to be a lot of fun for you. Very good at it. So well done, mate. And I'm not going to say good luck. I'm hoping that Vincent Kompany pulls off a shocker and City get off to a defeat at the opening day of the season. But I'm sure that won't happen. You guys are too good for that. And we will get to the Premier League a bit later in the show, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to start off with one of the big bits of breaking news today, and maybe a little bit of an out there deal for many people. But Tyler Adams. It's a here we go. It's a completed deal. He's going to join Chelsea, and maybe not one that anybody expected to see happen.
No, I don't think anyone was really expecting that. Chelsea seem to be very active at the minute. So you don't surprise you that they're in for him. They've been linked with Caicedo. They've been linked with Romeo Lavia. So there's all sorts going on. I think that the PR machine at Chelsea and Brighton, Southampton is in full flow. Everyone's pumping out all sorts. And people still need to realise that there's like 3 weeks to go yet, 2.5 weeks to go till the end of the window. So I'm sure there's going to be more out there deals that pop up that we don't expect.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a £20 million deal, and Tyler Adams is a capable footballer. There's no doubt about it. That midfield needs bolstering, and we know, and we'll get onto them later, the Lavia bids and the Caicedo bids. But I think on Tyler Adams, £20 million in 2023, it's not a lot of money, if that makes sense. It's not a huge amount of money. It isn't something that, even if it doesn't work out and he barely kicks the ball this season and he leaves in a year on loan or he gets sold again, you're probably going to make your money back, if not more, because they're getting him cheap because of a buyout clause. So I think from Chelsea's point of view, it's almost win-win, if that makes sense. I think it's a decent little piece of business for them. They obviously need more. They definitely do. They need to bolster that midfield area because, in my opinion, I know they've got some new signings. I'm not too au fait who they are. Like Conor Gallagher, there's a lot of talk from Chelsea press that the manager likes him. But I ain't convinced by that kid. And again, I don't need to be convinced. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I don't think any Chelsea fans are either. They can't be starting their campaign off with just him to partner with Enzo. So I think Tyler Adams is a good piece of business, but I suppose Chelsea fans are more focused on what's going to happen with the big one, really, which is Caicedo, because it's been so many contrary reports today. Jacob Steinberg and Matt Law have said Liverpool have bid a higher amount than Chelsea, and Chelsea have bid nearly 100 million. So Liverpool bid higher. And then 3 or 4 other journalists, Melissa Loreddy, James Pearce, have said that it's just an inquiry. How do you gauge that? From the outside looking in, Liverpool now bidding more than Chelsea. Do you think Chelsea will match that bid or increase it further? What's your take on it, mate?
I don't know. I think Liverpool are desperate for a midfield player in there. I think they're desperate. I think the fans are starting to rumble a little bit at Liverpool and not happy with FSG. They can see other teams around strengthening. They don't seem to be doing it. There's a few rumblings there. Whether this is another Brighton PR, we had last week, there was an unnamed Saudi club that had bid. It probably stinks to me a little bit of Brighton trying to nudge somebody over the line so they can get their business done. Because I think that they're looking at that as we're going to get 100 million in. we can then pull the trigger on our targets. But as the season's drawing closer, nobody's really got to where they need to be. They release a bit of Saudi PR, tried to get Chelsea or someone to commit, didn't happen. And then this week now they're releasing like Liverpool have put a bid in and all this stuff. So you just don't know how much of it's like cloak and dagger. But
yeah,
it's like with City, we had a Guardiola deal and it dragged. Things are dragging. I think the Saudi influx has come in and I think it's distorted the market a little bit. I think these teams that now find themselves with a little bit more budget than they thought they were going to have because they've managed to offload a bit of deadwood here and there. I think these teams that have lost players they didn't expect to lose, so they're looking for reinforcement. So I do think there's been a bit of a wave caused by Saudi, and I think everyone's just trying to adjust to it. And I think, like I said before, end of the window, there might be a mad scramble. You might see some crazy ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I look at he's trying to gauge the journalist. Like Steinberg, very, very good when it comes to West Ham and Chelsea. Matt Laurie's one of the premier Chelsea reporters, so I don't see why he reports. They would be more the journalists that would say it's just an inquiry and Chelsea are still leading. It's a lot of Liverpool, like James Pearce. Melissa Reddy's a bit more neutral now, but she was very much Liverpool-based for a long time. They're talking more, no, it's just an inquiry from Liverpool, which feels like they're protecting Liverpool in case they don't get him, because Liverpool love to say, but we never bid, we weren't rejected. And I think Liverpool are getting a little bit desperate, especially if Chelsea, and we know that Todd Bowley will do this, if they end up with Caicedo and Lavia coming in, because they've put these bids in, and if they get, I know there is talk that Chelsea's bid for Lavia has been or will be rejected, but they're only about $1.5 million, 2 million shy of the asking price. Liverpool are in a really tricky situation where you sit there and think, if they end up with no DM at the start of the season, that must change. That could change the whole complexity of their campaign, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I got told, I know somebody that knows Romeo Lavia, and last night he told me he was going to Chelsea. So he said he's going to Chelsea. Yeah, he told me that last night, like late last night, because I spoke to Grizz Khan, right? Yeah. And I said, Lavia's going to Chelsea. And he just sort of laughed it off. And then Grizz Khan today at 1 o'clock sent me another message saying, Lavia is going to Liverpool. So I know Grizz Khan's like black in the know world, but it's like, so that means to me that he's going to Chelsea. If Grizz Khan's telling me he's going to Liverpool, he's going to Chelsea, isn't it?
Well, the amount of times I got messages from Grizz Khan, private messages just saying, hey, Jude, and look how that's ended up. So yeah, if Grizz Khan has said it, that means he's going Chelsea.
Defo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. It's going to be a mad one. Like I say, we've seen the Kane deal. Man City's going in for Paquetá, Doku. So it's all happening late on in the window, and I think I've just got a feeling one big deal will trigger a bit of a domino effect, and you'll start seeing deals getting done all over the Premier League.
I think you could be absolutely spot on when you say that. Just reading here about the Caicedo deal specifically, it's now been reported that Bayern Munich have now joined Liverpool and Chelsea in the race to sign him. But Chelsea, it says here, Chelsea is seen as leading the race as they agreed on personal terms first. And it states that Caicedo still sees Chelsea as his preferred destination. And I think that is what's significant. But even for Chelsea, though, you've just got to get this stuff tied off. You know, you saw what happened when you went in for Declan Rice. Arsenal just didn't mess about. They already were leading the race and they got the deal tied off and they moved away from it. And I think there comes a point where you just have to do that. You know, you don't want to, because somebody here, you know, both could end up with one of each, and then Liverpool and Chelsea walk away from it and nobody remembers it. But one of Chelsea or Liverpool could end up here being caught with their dick in their hand, looking really stupid and silly if they lose out on both. Let's just say Tony Bloom keeps rejecting bids and Caicedo stays, and then Liverpool and Lavia. Tyler Adams isn't enough. Equally, the other way around, if Chelsea end up signing both, or if Chelsea get Lavia and then Brighton say we're not selling Caicedo for what you've bid, and they end up with nobody, Liverpool are in trouble. And I'm enjoying watching it. I'm just glad my team's not involved. I'm just glad that it's not my team in the middle of this mess. You know, we look like we're going to get Amrabat. We've got Caicedo. We're kind of Casemiro. We're kind of taken care of in that area per se. But Yeah, it's all go at Chelsea and Liverpool right now. It's crazy.
No, it's like I say, our lads were panicking last week. Oh, we need players. Guardiola came in, and it does look like there's a couple more going to come through the door. So City, we're okay. But when you look at Liverpool, I've tipped Liverpool to have a good season. I just believe they will do. But they definitely, when you actually look at the players they've lost, Henderson, Fabinho, Milner, Oxlade, Chamberlain, and you look at the midfield, it's a bit light for me. So yeah, I can see Liverpool getting in the mix, and I can see one. I can see Caicedo ending up at Liverpool and Lavia going to Chelsea, or the other way round. I can see Caicedo going to Chelsea and Lavia eventually going to Liverpool, and I think everyone will be happy. But like you said, if one of them grabs both, or something else happens and you end up short, it's not enough. And there's not a lot of massive quality players out there. And don't forget, with Declan Rice going for over over 100 mil, the market's high at the minute. The market is high, and there's a lot of clubs that are reluctant to pay it. They don't want to pay that fee. We spoke with Neville and Carragher on that overlap on Monday, and they seem to think that when the market was 60, 70 million level, Liverpool were very competitive. They went about the business, they grabbed these players, and they worked well. Now that the market's gone to the 100 million for DMs sort of range, they're not there. And that's the problem where they're struggling.
Yeah, and they do seem to be. But the problem is they don't. The thing is, it's not about, and this is the problem, like fans have to get their head around the mindset of a £100 million player in 2023 isn't the same as a £100 million player 5-10 years ago. The kind of inflation is making everybody more expensive. And you either move with the times or you don't. You couldn't sign. If there's a player at a club the level of Southampton doing what Mane was doing now, I want to say they signed him for 27 million, or it could have been 37 million. It was one of the two. But let's just say it was 27 million. Let's be really conservative with that price. A player of Mane's level, scoring like he was for a team like Southampton in the Premier League now, early mid-20s, if you tried to sign him now, you're looking at anywhere between 90 to 110 million pounds. The market's changed. You can't buy how you did 6, 7, 8 years ago. And it's only going to increase further when more and more of these digital companies get involved, and because they pay so much more money for the football rights than anybody else do. The money's going to continue to grow. And yes, that means the clubs get more TV money, but the overall cost have also become higher to buy people. So it's a very interesting situation. And I'm just intrigued to see how it's going to kind of turn out, really. But I still think Chelsea will get Caicedo. Looking at it now, they say it's still the preferred destination. The one thing I'd say about Todd Boehly and their group is they've made some mistakes, but typically when they want a player, they get them. I can only really think of, and the viewers are probably going to remember more than me, but Rafinha stands out as one they didn't get, but the player had his heart set on Barcelona. But I can't think of a player they didn't get who they wanted so far. And I know Liverpool are massive and they've got great pull, but I don't know. I just think they'll bid more. But this is perfect for Brighton, though, isn't it? Because they're gonna get their price now. If there's 3 clubs bidding for him, they're getting that £100 million easy. I think.
Yeah, Brighton have done really well. Like I say, the way they've gone about in the market last few years, the players they've had, the players they've sold on, the money they're making as a club like Brighton. They're now playing European football. They've probably got one of the best up-and-coming managers in the world who everyone's looking at saying he plays the right football. You look at some of the Asensio and Buenet and all them that play for him now. They're getting these gems coming through. So Brighton with 100 million war chest or 150 million war chest behind them could be dangerous. You know what I mean? They're a well-run club. But the smaller clubs have got a lot of power now. Back in the day, Man United, Liverpool, City, whoever turned up, made it that uneasy for the player. The player went in, knocked on the door and went, you can't let me go. You can't let me stay here. I want to go and play this. And the team sort of forced their hand and they got bullied and then they left. But now these teams are like, nope, you're under contract. If you don't pay that fee, you're staying here. Simple as that. And I think the smaller teams have got a lot more power than what they did have back in the day.
Well, the TV money's so high now that they can all say no to a degree to big offers. And now that's why they're all saying, and that's what I mean by the players have become even more expensive, because West Ham theoretically don't need to sell Declan Rice, because if I mean, his contract's running down, so you have to get the timing right. But they don't need the 100 million per se because of the TV deal money. They can just lower their own costs for a year or two because of FFP. But they don't need to sell. Like back in the day, if you offered a club like West Ham or Southampton or Brighton 25 million pound, that was gargantuan to them. Now it's big money in the grand scheme of things, like in the real world. But in football, it's like, I think we'd rather keep the player actually, because can they buy equal quality? Now with 100 million, what West Ham could potentially do is buy 3 or 4 players that make up for it and improve their team overall. But back in the day, you'd pay big money for a player. The smaller club can't go out and buy someone of equal quality because no one would sell their players to them. So yeah, it's an interesting world now. And a few people mentioning other Chelsea targets they didn't get. Yeah, Ugarte's one. Yeah, and you could put Jules Koundé into there as well. So I knew there'd be a couple. But generally, they've got them. I mean, you've got to remember how many players they've gone for as well. It's a pretty good ratio, really. Liverpool don't have the money for Caicedo. Plus, Caicedo only wants Chelsea. Chelsea can afford both Caicedo and Lavia, though. Dangerous PR game from FSG. It could be. I mean, Grizz Khan and Liverpool fans like him, they will still defend him probably. They'll still defend them and say they're great owners and it's all part of the master plan, I would assume. Uche, thank you very much for becoming a member on the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us. We'll come back to Chelsea a little bit later on in the show, people, so stay with us, hit like and share buttons. But some breaking news regarding your club from the journalist Santi. Man City have made a second bid for Paquetá, worth 101 million euros. It's been rejected again. West Ham are demanding 110. 110. What is that in pounds? I just want to work that out because I want to be very, very fair. Everything gets reported in euros these days, and it hurts my head. 100 euros in pounds. Sorry, bro. Let me just get this working it right. How much is that? It's 90. They want 95 million pound from you for Paquetá. What are you saying to that? What would you personally do?
You see, me, the track record of Pep buying these players, they almost always work out. So he's obviously done his own work. It's not my money, mate. So I'm saying spend. I don't give a shit. Spend it. You know what I mean? We've just won a treble, earned like 350 million off the treble run. So spend it. We're pulling in big money from the academy players. We've got Laporte, Cancelo, we can sell, there. So pay it. Just pay it. Get him in. Get the reinforcements in. Go and get Doku, and then we've had a good window. You know what I mean? That's what I say.
Yeah, look, Paquetá is an interesting one because he didn't move me too much last year. I didn't think he was that great at West Ham. However, the style of football, it's same as Scamacca. I watched Scamacca play for that West Ham team, and it just didn't work. But I kind of put that down to David Moyes' style of football. I think in a more expansive attacking team, of course, like Man City are, I think you'll see that Brazilian flair come through. He looks so much better for Brazil than he does for West Ham. Of course, Brazil, a much better team than West Ham. And that's the point. 95 million pounds as a total package is expensive, but you guys have always spent big. And what I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I know that never at this level, but you were the first team that was, along with Man United, that was significantly doing those kind of 50, 55, 60 million pound deals. But that was all 5-6 years ago. And as we said, the market's just now grown and you have to spend more to get in quality players. And I think this is one of those deals for City that a lot of people will say he's not worth that. He wasn't even great last season. Nobody was talking about him. But I think in a Man City shirt, I think he could do bits. I think he could be very good indeed at the right club in the right system. And as you say, with Pep Guardiola,
it's always 20 mil added on, isn't it? Because City's coming in. They know we've got the money. We know we're not skint. They're always going to try it, West Ham. Don't be fooled. Cole Palmer could go there. Calvin Phillips could go there in a swap deal and money. You know what I mean? You don't know. It depends what Moyes wants. I think Moyes likes Phillips. I think Sam Allardyce mentioned in a podcast that he thought Rice was going to go City and Phillips was going to go the other way with cash. So something must have been said in football circles there. If Paquetá comes in, I don't see where Calvin plays. He didn't even get on the pitch on the Charity Shield. So if City can offer Calvin Phillips some money for Paquetá and West Ham want that kind of deal, then I can't see why they won't take that.
Yeah, I did see Pep speak today about Cole Palmer, and he said about the West Ham links, and he sort of said he's here today, but basically who knows tomorrow. That's normally code for at the right price, he's for sale. If that makes sense. But yeah, as you say, there probably won't be a direct swap deal, but you might pay 110 million euros for Paquetá, but then get 30 million for somebody else, and it balances itself out, if that makes sense. So yeah, that could make a lot of sense. But I think he's quite a good footballer. I think this is going to be a deal that people will sleep on and kind of attack and say he's not worth it and he's overpriced. But however many months in could really start to deliver for Man City. I think he's a very talented player who's wasted in that kind of pragmatist West Ham system. You know, they need players like, you know, Cole Palmer would be a good player for them, but Bowen suits them because he gets on the counter-attack. And I think Scamacca's a better footballer than, what's his name? Antonio. But Antonio suits that style of football better. Does that make sense? And I think that McTominay's, and I think if McTominay goes there and Maguire's gone, I think they'll all look good in that system. I actually think they'll look like really good players for West Ham.
Don't forget, Pep Guardiola can get another 10, 15% out of most players. So if he comes there and says, right, we're going to work with him, and he's training with Kevin De Bruyne every day, and he's in a system where he can play expansively, he can drive with the ball, he can do his flair. I don't imagine David Moyes, when he does 4 step-overs in the middle of the park and loses it and puts West Ham on their arse, he's going to be too happy with him. But if he does that to Manchester City and then Rodri comes and sweeps it up and it's all forgotten about, you can play a different way. So, listen, it is what it is. It's speculation at the minute. I know he's got a little bit of technical ability about him. You can see it with him. But we just trust Pep at City now. We just trust him, and what his scouts have obviously been looking at the numbers. Guardiola the same. He came in. People were saying, "Oh, he's not worth this. He's not worth that." But you watch what happens with Pep, and you watch what Pep does with him.
Yeah, I think he's there. Maradon here says, Terry, your talent idea is crap. But I remember you telling me that when I said that I think Haaland is a phenom. Haaland at City is a phenom. I remember you specifically on the streams when he first started scoring at Salzburg. I said, this kid is something like we haven't seen for many decades. And you all laughed. Of course, I predicted other players to be brilliant and got it wrong. But I've got a lot right as well. Same for all of us. But I think if you don't recognize that Paquetá has got genuine star quality, I don't know what you're looking at. I think there's a real player in there that can be unearthed. I really do think that can be the case. Also linked to yourselves is Jeremy Doku, the young. He's Belgian, right? I think he's Belgian. Yeah, young Belgium winger. Obviously, you've got that hole in the team on the right-hand side with Mahrez leaving. What's the word at City in terms of him coming in? It looks like it's going to happen. So how encouraged are you by that deal?
He's very young. He's exciting. I think it was the World Cup or the Euros where we watched him, and he looked really good. And then he dropped off a little bit. Nobody really seen much of him. He's been playing out there in France. Another one, like I say, if he's got the attributes for what Pep wants, if he's going to play how Pep decides, then, you know, what better than him to come to the treble winners and be coached by Pep Guardiola? You know what I mean? Be involved in all the big games in the Premier League, fast league. But I think if Manchester City sign Paquetá, Doku, Guardiola, Kovacic, that ain't a bad window, to be fair, on paper. You know what I mean? Kovacic already looks like he's been there for ages, you know what I mean, in the middle of the park. And Guardiola, 21-year-old, you know, Doku at 19. I don't know how old Paquetá is, to be honest. But I think I will be happy with that as City fans. And like you say, Doku, you know, it'll stop the lads moaning, because everyone's moaning about the Mahrez thing, which it is a problem. When you lose Gundogan and Mahrez, when you look at the numbers they bring to the team, assists and goals, it is a problem, you know what I mean? But I think Phil Foden in the middle, I said it the other week, will come in and do the bits in the centre. If they can bring in Paquetá as well, that's for me, has got one eye on Kevin De Bruyne, because we overused Kevin a bit last year and he was struggling at the end. Yeah. And with Riyad going, Doku can go in there, maybe play with Bernardo on the right, Foden on the right. And it'll be good if we can get them both deals over the line. I'll be happy.
No, I hear you. Like I said, Paquetá, 25 years of age, I think he is, 24 or 25. up until joining West Ham, he used to score, 10, 11 goals a season when he was at Lyon. This guy's got 42 caps for Brazil. Typically, there's a player in there. If you're playing at the level he is, if you're playing for Brazil, I just think he'll be unearthed. And look, Doku, I know a lot less about him, so I'm not going to give an opinion on a player that I haven't watched too much. But the World Cup, I saw a player that I thought maybe he should have got a little bit more game time, a little bit more exposure with how poor some of those guys were doing. But I've seen a lot of players City have signed be written off. Just last year, people on national TV talking about Erling Haaland is going to flop and he's not going to score here. This isn't Austria or Germany and he'll struggle. I remember you guys being laughed at when you signed KDB. I remember you being laughed at when you signed John Stones. And the list goes on and on and on.
Toure.
Another one I remember. And I just think, I just kind of feel like with City, yes, they've bought players that haven't worked. But again, it's the percentage of success versus the failures. And I know that you get a lot of, I know rivals will want to go on it. And people always have a go at me for not always acting like a Man United fan. But I just like being honest. What's the success rate of Pep signings? 80%? So for me, I'm not going to, if I think he's a decent player and it's Pep buying him for the best team in the country, the best team in the world right now, I think both of them could be excellent signings. Now, again, I hope they fail. I hope they flop. I hope they're awful. But I'm not just going to give that as an opinion if I don't believe in it. I just got Akanji is a great example. That was laughed at last summer. And I get this deal's a much higher sum of money, but I still think the principle's the same. Pep has got ridiculously good talent ID. This wasn't actually on the agenda today, what we're going to talk about next, but it's breaking news. I want to get your opinion on it. Harry Kane reportedly, according to Sky Sports, is going to reject the move to Bayern.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to go on with all of this now?
Well, I said, beginning of the window, that I think I even said it on air that I thought Kane would go to United late in the day. And spoke on the overlap with Gary Neville. He has a similar opinion that if 100 million is accepted from Bayern, then that proves that they will take 100 million. Then United will come in offer the same. Kane will choose United. We were talking about that there, and that's exactly what I thought would happen. If once Levy pulled the trigger on a bid, I think Kane was playing them all along. I think he would say, they think, right, he's going to Bayern. And I think he'll just say, no, I'll go United. Harry Kane is not going to Bayern Munich. I'd be so shocked if Harry Kane went to Bayern Munich, like so shocked. I believe Manchester United have been waiting all window for it. I think they're going to get him. And I think it's going to be Kane and Højlund. I think Højlund is not the man who they're going to want to lead the line and put all the pressure on. He's only young. I think they want a Harry Kane and then they want him as a backup and ease him in. But I think if United come in now and match Bayern Munich's bid, and Levy just thought, you know what, I'll take the dough, whoever, Kane just walks into Man United. I think Kane and his brother have played Daniel Levy with this deal.
I've had this train of thought all summer, and I felt exact. I mean, I haven't, obviously, I'm not as lucky as you. I didn't get to meet one of my heroes.
And if Man United sign Harry Kane, are right in the mix. Like right in the fucking mix.
Mate, I've said this all along, and I keep
why Man United would be spend 100 million elsewhere when they know that if 100 million is accepted off Bayern, I'm straight on the blow up, Ten Hag, and saying 100 million, smash it down. We'll sell McTominay, we'll sell Fred, we'll sell Maguire, we'll sell a couple of shite, Martial, whatever. We'll drag some more dough back in. Get me Harry Kane for 100 million. He has 25 goals, and United are on for the league title. Them challenging straight with City and Arsenal. 100%.
Someone here says, Terry, you've been reporting all year round that Kane and Bayern have agreed personal terms. I haven't been reporting that for a year. I share with you news that's put out there by other outlets, and we quote who the people are. That's not me quoting it. What I have been saying all summer is that I hope, and there's a part of me that believes, that as soon as Bayern get a bid accepted, that Man United could sweep in. Because what I think, like, sometimes it's a psychological thing. Once a club says, okay, that's an acceptable amount of money, it is easier for other teams to come in and just match that bid. And maybe there's a little bit of premium that gets added on top because we're a Premier League side and they don't want to do it. Maybe you've got to pay an extra 10 million on top. But the base fee has been set. If we were leading the negotiations, I think they would have been much higher. It would have been seen as, look how, like, frustrated fans are at these long drawn out sagas this summer. You know, with there were City fans tracking aeroplanes on videos because they were so desperate for him to come in. Last year, Man United have had some long sagas that have frustrated us. I would hope if we pull this deal off by sitting on the sidelines, waiting right until the end, and then sweeping in and getting it done, it'll be one of the best pieces of business any club's done in Premier League history in terms of the strategy. I'm talking, but then I agree with you. I'll be sticking a couple of £100 on Man United winning the league. Not that I believe would be favourites, but the odds will be good if we sign Harry Kane, because he is, as you say, he's a game changer. And I just, for me, all summer there's been reports of Man United want Højlund and Harry Kane, and I hope it's true, and I hope we do it because it changes the complexity of the league, the title race, and everything. However, if that doesn't happen and Kane rejects Bayern Munich, do you feel a lot of people are saying serious conversations have to happen? Because is that a lack of ambition to go and win major trophies, in your opinion, if there's not an option of a Man United or a Chelsea to join?
I just think if he goes to Bayern Munich and wins the Bundesliga, who gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? Nobody cares. You know what I mean? And I think if he stays and wins the title for Man United and breaks that Premier League record, then people care. And in England, he's walking about in certain company with players thinking fair play, you know what I mean? Van Persie, his career at Arsenal, it was like he wanted that Premier League and that he went to United, he got it done. But like you say, Harry Kane, I just can't see it. He's on the verge of breaking that record. And people saying, he can go away for a few years and come back and do this. That's all well and good in fairyland. But, you might pick up serious injuries as you get older. You might not be the same player. You might not come back to that level. I just think while he's at his peak, while he's the main man for England and that, he needs to freshen it up, go to an English side. And I've just got a really strong feeling he's going to Man United. I've had it all summer long. I was like, this is just got Man United written all over it. And I can see it.
Mate, listen, I hope you've been right about a lot of things since you've been on the terrace, especially the big blue shark. And I hope you're right about this 100%, because it would make my summer. I want to go to some super chats here. First one says Kane staying. Some call him a loser for not leaving. Being all-time top goal scorer beats a German league title. Way rarer. Only one can be all-time goal scorer. I get that, but at Bayern Munich, he can win Bundesligas. He can win their FA Cup, or the Paquetá, I think it's called. He can also win the Champions League there. The only way, me and KJ said this earlier, the only way I kind of don't have that serious conversation is if he refuses to sign a new deal and join somebody else, as you say, next summer, free, and tries to win those trophies. Maybe he's got that in his sights. This here says, Arteta will make Pep his errand boy this season.
Like last season.
Do you know how many shirts Kane can sell? I mean, Kane can sell a lot. Kane can probably sell a lot more. I will still refuse to buy them until the Glazers are gone, but each to their own. Kane doesn't win us the title, brah. Let's build on. Kane could win Man United the title.
He could.
He could. Again, him along with the signings of Onana and Amrabat and Mount, Rashford being what he is, having Højlund as the backup, and a number of other improvements. Again, a lot of our dead wood and players who just lack confidence, Maguires and Freds, McTominays, Donnies, they're all going. Look, City are the favourites, but that doesn't mean you can't win the league. We'd have to be brilliant to beat City, but it changes things. That's a 30-goal a season striker in a Man United team.
People are saying that Arsenal won't win the league without a 25-plus striker. They're saying Gabriel Jesus isn't the man, and that's what's going to cost them, right? City's got a 52-plus striker, yeah? Even if he has a bad season, he's getting 30. And where else is he in world football? You can just get a ready-made 25, 30-goal striker for 100 million. You're paying 100 million for a DM that's won the fucking Conference League, a DM that before that's been ticking along in West Ham's midfield and just playing it side to side and backwards, and that's it. So if someone's offering you a guaranteed 30 goals for 100 million, that is an absolute steal. A steal. That's why no Manchester United, Chelsea, anyone should be busting the bank trying to get him for that. Keep him in England. You know that his pull is towards England. You know he's building a big house in London. You know his family's there. You know he don't want to leave. That is, them players don't come up very often.
And I've always felt Harry Kane is born for Man United. The way he plays, his stature, I think he can handle the pressure. And I actually think he needs a club. And look, I think he'd do well at Bayern. I think he'd do well at Chelsea as well. I think he needs a club where, yes, he might be a star, but there are other stars and there are other players with the expectation on their shoulders. You know, Rooney for Man United was amazing. For England, the pressure of the whole country saying Rooney will win it for us used to kill him. Spurs are like that. It's Kane or bust. And that's not good for team ethics. You look at your team. Look how many match winners City have. And I know for a fact, without even asking, that you guys don't go into games saying Haaland has to win it for us or KDB does. What you actually have is Haaland, KDB, Grealish, Mahrez, Gundogan. They're all match winners and the pressure is spread equally and it makes them all flourish. And I think that's what we would get from him at Man United. But let's see what happens there. This says Kane should wait 1 year and join Real Madrid with Mbappe.
No, what happened?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Also, what happened to Kane when Haaland beats it? Kane will be irrelevant because he wouldn't have a record or a trophy. Well, that's also true. People say stay for the record. Yeah, he gets the record, wins no trophies at Tottenham, and then Haaland in 6 seasons breaks the record, and then he's got nothing. No, you're right. It's you got to go for both. You have, and I'll say this now: if Kane leaves to try and win trophies at a big club and doesn't win trophies, at least he tried. If he sits at Spurs and wins nothing for the rest of his career, that's a waste of life. It's a waste of life. If Kane couldn't do it, I've 100% believe Kane wouldn't. Listen, if Ronaldo joined Man United at 29, 30 years old and not 37, it would have been a different Ronaldo. We're not signing 37-year-old Harry Kane. We're signing 30. It's different, bro. Very different. It's like it's different now. You know, Anthony Joshua would definitely beat Mike Tyson in the ring now, but he wouldn't have done 25 years ago. Like, come on now. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. So more super chats here. This says every man and his dog is worth 100 million these days.
Feels like that. Everyone just sticks a one down. Yeah, it's 100 mil. But if they see these teams getting it, then it is what it is, man. If you was the chairman of this team and your diamond was in there, it'd be 100 mil. You know what I mean? That money's big money now. Of
course, 110%. This says a look at him with Brazil, better players, make him set on fire. Yeah, listen, I was talking about Paquetá there. I agree. Kane looks like he's staying. Serious conversations. I think we've had that conversation, but I hear where you're coming from. Steve, this tells me Cover plays as the backup 6.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I believe so. There was daft rumours coming out last night that Kovacic is injured and he got stretchered off and all this stuff. It's a load of nonsense, by the way, so I'll just clear that one up.
Yeah, I did read then that he's again. There was no credible source anywhere that kind of repeated it or shared it, so I just kind of left it. I didn't even react to it. Steve, you were going to cry when we win the league this season, is what Arsenal Fever says to you.
I don't cry when other teams win the league. You know, I take it like, you know, sometimes you've got to give these small teams a chance. So it is what it is. If that's your chance this season, then, you know, good luck to you.
Small club, you know. Are you going to have that Arsenal Fever? Are you going to have that? Some breaking news and some updates for you before we do more super chats on the Caicedo situation. I said that would come, so stay with us. So this has come directly from Fabrizio Romano. He stated that Chelsea feel close to signing Moises Caicedo, but they still don't have a full agreement with Brighton. They do have a full agreement with Caicedo. It goes on to state that Liverpool and Bayern Munich have contacted Brighton about Caicedo. Brighton will accept the biggest bid. Chelsea are on it, and feeling of other clubs is Chelsea remain ahead in terms of the player. But remember, if Liverpool or Bayern offer more money than Chelsea, Chelsea's bid won't be accepted. Someone super chatted in here and also said, thank you very much for this, Jermaine. He said, according to Fabrizio, Liverpool have made a verbal bid. Again, and I'm going to be blunt, no rudeness to Fabrizio. A verbal bid is a bid. It's still a bid. It's still a bid. So Liverpool have bid according to Fabrizio Romano, but Chelsea are considerable favourites. I think that kind of echoes what we've said. Would you say, Steve?
Yeah, it's like you say, it's mad. I've never known a window like it with these verbal bids and different bids, and it's just I don't know. I think transfer fever, man, it's mad. You see people online glued to Twitter every day, looking on every word, and it's just I think it'll just happen. People just need to relax. There's not what we can do about it. I know we get excited about transfers, but until we really we see the player with a shirt, anything can happen. You've seen deals fall through at the last minute. I do believe there's like a bottleneck in transfers at the minute. Everyone's sort of stuck here. And one goes, it'll just go ballong, and then that'll be it.
Man United are very similar. Like with sort of Fred's like Fulham have come back in for him. Galatasaray now, that's going to be a 15 to 20 million deal. You've obviously got Maguire that needs to be announced, but is done. Either Scott McTominay, Donny, or maybe both are very close to other deals being agreed. If those four leaves, it'll be Amrabat, a centre-back, and then, as you say, maybe Harry Kane or something. And it'll be like in a domino effect, I think, as you say. It'll be really, really quick in that regards. This here says, Arsenal will win the league when humans travel to the sun. It's what Abraham Glazer says. Thoughts on Arsenal trying the Barella swoop? Well, there's Barella links, and there's also links to Douglas Luiz again, another ex-City player, actually. I often forget he played for you guys that Arsenal are linked with. There are still talks. Miguel Delaney spoke about this for a few days now, that Arsenal, if they sell Balogun, will go in for another midfielder. Douglas Luiz's name's come up. Barella's name has come up. Of course, Lavia's name has come up as well. But Arsenal, it seems like they're serious. Like they've got Raya in, they beat you at the weekend, and they're looking to really improve their team. Do you feel like one more player would be enough for them, or do you think they're missing some areas like a prolific number 9?
I thought the midfield was all right weekend. I thought the midfield looks okay. It's just I think when your main man's out, Jesus, who's not really the main man, he's never getting you 25 goals, and you're playing Kai Havertz up front, then that's the problem for me. So I believe they need a proper striker. I believe Balogun's capable of it. Eddie Nketiah, to me, no, he's not going to win you a league. Kai Havertz up front won't win you a league. And Gabriel Jesus up front won't win you a league. But I'm not an Arsenal manager. He's got his plans. He needs, but there's a very, very shortage of them kind of strikers out there at the minute. You can go and pick someone off the shelf from another league, but it's a gamble in the Prem. But I don't know. I just believe they're short of a 20-plus striker. I think the Arsenal midfield is okay. They've got enough bodies in there for me.
Yeah, look, I like Douglas Luiz. I think he's good. There's just something about it. And again, a Guna I know quite well said to me yesterday, he said, once Monaco get Zakaria from Juve, expect to see Juve go for Thomas Partey. And I'm like, Partey's staying. And he's like, not what he's heard. He goes, he still thinks there's a world where Partey leaves this summer and a Lavia or a Douglas Luiz or someone of that level comes in. Now, for me, I think that would be a mistake if they were to do that. I still think Partey's got 2 or 3 years left at the absolute top that I think go and get Luiz, go and get Lavia, but you cannot allow Thomas Partey to leave. And there are still some gooners online that think that's going to happen. And it's weird because I don't know. I sort of look at it along the lines of you want to be bolstering those areas and having an abundance of talent, maybe not weakening it. I don't know. For me, yeah, I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he should leave. And again, if I was to buy someone, look, Lavia, Douglas Luiz, who do you think would fit best?
Well, Arsenal.
Well, but yeah, both ex-City players. Obviously, you know them both to a degree in terms of their qualities.
I think Luiz is a good player. I think Lavia's got a good ceiling. He's very, very young. You know what I mean? I think Romeo is going to be a great player. So whoever gets him and takes the punt on him now, you might not see the rewards after one season. You might just see him ticking along nice. But when he gets into his stride and gets more games under his belt, I believe he'll be quality. You know what I mean? City wanted to keep him, but I think they didn't really trust him to be understudy to Rodri. I just didn't think they didn't think he was that far along in his development to where going for a title he could come in the games late on. So they went and bought Phillips. it proved that Phillips, he wasn't the answer. They couldn't trust him, so we dropped a clanger with him. When we seen Lavia in the Premier League, he was holding his own. He looked really well. Some games he dominated himself at 19-year-old. So I think it was a drop ball by City, but they're going to profit from it anyway. But I think in an ideal world, they wanted another season that's Southampton and then City go and get him back. But I think the City boat sailed. I think he'll move on. But if Arsenal or Liverpool or Chelsea get him, I think you'll see a fantastic player in Lavia.
Yeah, no, there's a very, very good player in there indeed. JTT here says, do you think Kane would move to Arsenal for a Premier League?
I don't think that. I think they'd burn the stadium down, Tottenham fans. If that
it would be. I've said it before. Like, I don't think there's as much loyalty in football as people make out, and I get that. I don't want him to go to Arsenal because he would make them an even better team. But there's a part of me that would love to watch the fallout of that. Does that make sense? Just sit back, some popcorn, the fan cams and the reactions from Spurs fans to that would be.
Sol Campbell. Remember Sol Campbell?
Oh, yeah, we're old enough to remember that. It was. Imagine being able to record. No one did it back then. The reactions to that happening. Honestly, I think it could win Oscars. It could win Emmys. It could win BAFTAs watching Spurs fans react to that happening. I don't think it will happen, but can you imagine? Arsenal Fever's back here and says, small team, laughing my ass off. You can't even fill a stadium. No one gives a rat's butt if you win the league or Champions League or whatever. Think about that. Think before you speak, Mr. Waffler.
See how easy it is to trigger him. You know what I mean? Only made one off-the-cuff comment. We can fill a trophy cabinet, our kid. Don't worry about that. Thanks for the $5.
Arteta is going to make Pep his little bitch, is what he thinks as well.
This is what I'm saying. You know, this is the kind of abuse we're getting now. You know, this is the kind of the way they're talking. You know, and then, but what they do is they say, we're not all like that, Steve. We don't all speak like that, Steve. But the majority of them do. So, you know, it is what it is.
He also here says City, Liverpool, and Chelsea are small clubs.
There you go. We'll see. They've won a charity shield, man. It's gone to the red.
That's crazy. There's 9 Champions Leagues between those 3 clubs, my friend. There's 9 Champions Leagues. And how many league titles? 19 plus what are you guys on now? 10?
What we're on, 7, 8, 9.
9. So you're on 9. They're on 19. So what we're looking at there, we're looking at 28 plus Chelsea. You're on about 6. So you're looking at 34, 35 league titles and 9 Champions League small clubs. Come on, my friend.
You know, on Sunday, I left the stadium after the game. I was actually on the pitch when the Arsenal boys were taking the charity shield about. Yeah, so I was there front row with it. Fair play. They were doing what they were doing. But I went round to AFTV after the game, and there must have been 200 people there. Yeah, all Arsenal. I'm the only one City walking around there. Yeah, and I did my fan camp, which you can see on AFTV. I think it was fair enough what we said. I was still sat outside the stadium on the steps talking to 50, 60 Arsenal fans at 25 to 11 at night. Yeah.
Jesus.
So all these Arsenal fans, yeah, the ones that on here that think Big Steve hates Arsenal and does this, yeah. I was there for hours, mate, talking football to all the kids, all the Arsenal. And you know what? The Arsenal fan base, a lot of them do respect me, and I respect them, you know what I mean? And I was chatting to them and that, and I was trying to say to some of them, calm it down, man. Cecil was there. Cecil walked back with me, and I said, I told on the terrace I was going to throw you in the fucking bin, but I'm going to let you off today. Ty was with us as well. And I get it, mate. You know what I mean? I get it. From the outside in, people go mad at Arsenal fans for what they react. But I think being with them, and I think they're just starving of a bit of excitement and success. And I'm not patronising. I'm telling you the truth. When I was talking to all the young kids, they were like, a lot of them were like, they'd never seen Thierry Henry and the Invincible days. So the older guys were harping on about that, and they've never seen it. So they're desperate for it. You know what I mean? So when you see a lot of the reactionary stuff from the Arsenal lads, it's because they get excited because they think it's going to happen. But and it's a mad melting pot of Arsenal fans. So you've got the proper old school guys that are like more mellow. You've got Turkish and that who've got a certain level of expectation because they was around with the Invincibles. So they expect Arsenal to be here. And then you've got all the younger guys that are just sort of floating around in the middle who will like take anything as like a success, you know what I mean? But I had some fun, man, Sunday night, to be fair. And all them Arsenal fans, it was a good chat, man. For 4 or 5 hours, Big Steve didn't get no sleep.
Nice, mate. Nice. And do you know what it is? Like that's it shows how it shows to me like that type of football banter and rivalry more so is better because 30 years ago you couldn't have gone and stood with a group of Arsenal fans after a game like that because it was just too nasty. And now it's not about that. It's just it is more fun. It is more family friendly in that regard. There are trouble at games at times. There definitely is, but it's good you're able to do that. AMT says, "I'm an Arsenal."
Do you know what happened? Yeah. While we was talking on AFTV, the Arsenal team bus came out of the stadium late on, and they all ran to the bus. Yeah, but fair play, they won the Charity Shield. They were buzzing. Someone from the Arsenal that was at the front of the bus with the Charity Shield at the window, and they were going mad, mate, mad, and it just made me smile. But you know what? To them, they were buzzing off it. But it's the guy with the voodoo shit that scares me. He got hold of me. Remember the guy with the voodoo doll? Yeah.
Yeah.
He got hold of me outside the stadium, and he come and shook my hand. So I think I've got the Yaya Toure curse. So if Man City get relegated this season, yeah, it's his fucking fault.
I love Kelechi. Years back when I was working in the bank, I was in this bar in the middle of Canary Wharf. Like no one knew what I used to do back then, and he came up behind me and like shook me like this. I turned around, hit myself. I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" And everyone's like, like everyone in the bar knew who he was because the AFTV were huge at that point. He's a good guy. He's actually a good guy, Kelechi. I got a lot of time for him. He's a real good dude.
And do you know what? I've got to give big respect to Ty, yeah, because Ty gets a lot of shit, right? And I listened to him, and he did his thing. He was fine. And then when I did my bit about City in the game, he came up, he pulled me to one side, yeah, and he said, "Respect to you, Steve." Then he said, because I was going to give Man City fans loads of shit online. He went, "But the way you've just spoke then, I've changed my mind." And he shook my hand and he was dead respectful. And I thought it was nice from him because I think people have been getting on his case. So he was getting a bit wound up. And then when he heard me speak and I sort of was tried to be balanced, it calmed him down. But he's a great guy, him, man. He's a proper football geezer, him. He's an
anorak. He is a football, and I love football. Not to that point. This guy watches the under 15 boys and girls teams of Arsenal. He is just. If you cut him in half, it'd be like a stick of rock. He'd have Arsenal written through him, and you got to respect that. I think he basically every available penny he has gets spent on Arsenal.
I respect him, and I love people like that. And he a lot of the younger guys were looking after him and that. But I've only met him a handful of times, you know what I mean? But and people wind him up and they like to get on his case. But I tell you what, as a football fan, they don't get bigger than him.
There's a story I heard once, who he changed his surname to Burnley. So his name was Dave Burnley, Burnley fan, changed it. And this guy was, I think a YouTube channel did a video on him. And this guy didn't miss a Burnley game for like the last 45, 50 years. Like missed his own sister's wedding, missed like funeral, like he just dedicated. And when Burnley was a very, very small club, he used to go on their preseason tours and no fans went. They were tiny and they were in Spain somewhere playing. And he was about 35 at the time. And he's there. He's the only person watching his pre-season game. And they ended up getting 2 or 3 injuries. And he got the opportunity to go on and play. They said, "Do you want to come on and just sit at left back for us and just be a body type thing?" And I'm like, I love when fans, it's harder at Arsenal to get the same level of recognition. But I like it when fans do. Because people like Ty, people like this Dave Burnley guy, there's only, even at a club the size of Arsenal, you only really get a very small percentage that are that dedicated to a club and are willing to sacrifice anything for it. And yeah, I do respect it. This super chat here says, "I'm an Arsenal fan, but that type of comment is just crap." Obviously talking about Arsenal fever a little bit earlier. We'll come back to that one. Arsenal fans are really starving 20 years. I understand. Arsenal fever is crazy. I apologize on his behalf, is what been said there. I was going to ask you as well. There was one other. Well, we spoke about that. In terms of the season predictions and viewers, we're going to start taking some of your predictions now. We are going to do it on the Top 6 show at 6 today as well. But in terms of, we'll do it in a set. We're doing Champions League qualification. So coming 5th, who are you putting in 5th this year, mate?
Fifth, I'm going to put Spurs.
Spurs in fifth. That's interesting. A lot of their fans I've seen online are talking about 7th, 8th, 9th. But yeah, fifth for Spurs. Fourth.
So I'm going to go United.
Oh, disappoint me. Third place.
Arsenal.
Arsenal third. Gooners, what are you saying about that one? Arsenal fever's going to be raging. Second place.
Liverpool.
And you're going for the 4P, I assume. Who are your champions going to be?
Luton. City.
Up, KJ. Clip it up, KJ.
We're going for it. We're going for it. I can't knock back in City. I'm going for it. So City, Liverpool, Arsenal, United, Tottenham. And the Tottenham one's based on Harry Kane being there or them bringing in a big striker if he goes. But I just don't think Newcastle are quite there yet. I just expected them to have a better window, bring in a few more key players. But I understand what they're doing. I understand that the problem Newcastle have got now, what people need to understand is that, yeah, they've got the money, but people have got to believe in the project. You've got to sell them the project. So you get a player now and he looks at Newcastle and they say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. Or they might go for the money, but then Saudi Arabia, you're going to go Saudi for the money. So we had a mercenary stage at City where we signed Adebayor, Bellamy, do you know what I mean? Roque Santa Cruz, people like that, where they had a one good season and we went out and grabbed them and tried to make it. It didn't work. But the one marquee when Tevez signed and then David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Yaya Toure, they all followed. That's when people thought, I want to be a part of that. That's happening. And I think that's what will happen with Newcastle next season. They'll take another step, bring in this big one. A big one, though, like Tevez was big, man. To leave Man United to come to City, it wasn't like a Robinho one where the money obviously swayed him. It was like a big one where he was like, hold on a minute, fucking hell, Tevez. And then the rest followed. And I think that's what will happen. They got Tonali in, they've got Isaac, one or two knocking about. But I think why Newcastle aren't in for Harry Kane at 100 mil, I don't know. He could be, if I'm Newcastle, I'm going in at Tottenham. I'm saying there's 120 mil. I'm saying to Harry Kane, you're going to smash us to our first league title in how many years? You're going to take us to Champions League glory. We've got a 4-year plan. We're going behind you. You're getting all the image rights. You're our new number 9 at Newcastle. Them fucking mad Geordies up there would love him. It'd go off.
Yeah.
Harry Kane in Newcastle would go off. And that's what I'd be doing if I'm chairman of Newcastle. He's my marquee. And everybody else would follow me there. But
I hear you on that. A few Chelsea fans in the comments are asking, where do you think Chelsea will finish?
I think they'll finish 6th.
And what, Newcastle 7th or Villa? A lot of people tipping Villa today. I've seen people tipping Villa for top 4 this year.
Nah, what happened? They've had a good window and it happens all the time. You look at the dark horse, you think it's great, but it won't happen. The consistency is not there. Villa need another couple of seasons. And then if they carry on that trajectory with the signings and the manager, yeah, very much so. But I think it'll be 6th, 7th, 8th, Villa, something like that.
Top Gooner here says, with respect, we are winning the league this season.
Good. I hope, listen, I respect that. If that's your opinion, I respect it, man.
He also says, still, though, it's a fact that you're a small club.
See,
It'll dig at the end there.
At one point, but now it's cost you another quid for me to disrespect you, so is what it is.
Jamie here says, Steve, predictions for Arsenal in the Champions League this year?
Depends on the group. Like I say, depends on the group. I think it won't be as easy as what people think. I think they'll definitely get out of the group. I don't think Europe's as strong as it's been in the last few years. I do think, you've seen teams like Benfica, Inter Milan, AC get into the later stages, and I know they've got historic names, but on paper they've not been the best sides. And I think the Premier League sides are stronger. So if Arteta manages it right, if he can rotate the squad right and get the balance between Premier League and Champions League correct, then I don't see why they can't ever do it. You know what I mean? But people don't understand. It's a big ask to win that Champions League. You know what I mean? It's been seasons when City's been favourites. We've gone all the way. We've got Monaco out, Tottenham out, Lyon out, but we've beat better teams before that. You know, so it's just one of them things.
No, I agree. I think it's an interesting one, and I think the Premier League teams generally are stronger. But it's just Arsenal, the European like they've been to a final, they've been to a semi-final a few times. It's going to be really intriguing because of the fact they haven't under Arteta done particularly well in the Europa League. I know there's a little bit of pessimism, but I think they're going to get to at least the quarterfinals. I think they'll get to that stage. I think they're good enough to. They're building the squad right to get to that point. I think they're good. Yeah, I do think they're good enough to. Arsenal Fever says Chelsea will get relegated No, they won't. No, they won't. They won't get relegated. Hussein here says the best fan clip of all time was Tyre with Terry and Claude. When the kid called in and Ty says, don't be homophobic, and nothing of the sort was said. Yeah. Oh, no, wait, because what he said, I don't like your opinions and I don't like your bent Arsenal headphones. Right? And Ty's response was, don't be homophobic. And the whole room just erupted because no one knew he meant it in that way. And it was hilarious. And then there was a kid called Rocky that told Ty to shut up because he was trying to ask him a question. And Ty was, you know what Ty's like if you criticize Arsenal? He goes. Yeah, that was a fun day. And rest in peace, Claude. That was an amazing day. That was. It made me. That was the first time I ever worked with them. And I was I was skeptical. I was a bit like, are these guys a bit of an act? Are they putting it on camera? Because I've only ever seen them on fan cams. And then I was in a room with them. It was like, wow, this is real. This is genuine. There's a comment here that says, Steve, you were class on the overlap. How was the overlap? How was it being on there and the experience?
Yeah, it was different. It was long. And you only get your little section, you know what I mean? Because it's beginning of the season, not a lot really happened. So they sort of just touched on everyone's club. They weren't really a chance to have a debate with anyone or opinions. There's a lot of people on there. So they're giving you top six are getting their minutes. Carragher's getting his and Neville. And then they sort of went round the newly promoted clubs. They sort of had 60 seconds each or something. It was weird. But the whole thing was like, it's lasted a long time. It's a great setup, studio and that. And I think as the season goes on, them debates will get bigger and bigger. And when these things we can get our teeth into, I think you'll see a few mad episodes. But no, it was fine. It was okay. I enjoyed it. And like you say, I'm a privilege to get invited on it. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I watched it when it came out, and I didn't watch it all in one go. I kind of watched it. It was a nearly 2 hour long show, so I kind of watched it over the course of Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, very, very good, mate. I thought you come across well. Obviously, I work with you a lot, so yeah, I get it. And yeah, it's a great show. Great show. This year says, you not get an invite, Terry. Shocked Gary was scared. No, I didn't get an invite. But then they've got Adam McCullough, and it's one of them things, isn't it? Like, it is what it is. A lot of people, by the way, I always thank all the people that tagged me when they were asking for new people. I got about 30 or 40 tags on Twitter, but no, maybe one day. But yeah, I won't be crying about it. I'm a grown man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Terry and Steve, at what age did you get your first? I'm wondering where that was going. Your first credit card.
He's not one of them credit card fraud dudes, is he?
No, he's not. He's not. He's not. I don't know.
Oh, mate, when I was young and daft and that, as soon as they offered me a credit card, I was off my tree, mate. I was gone. Woo! Party time. Yeah. Credit card.
Free money, free money.
Until you get the bill and you've got to pay it back. And then you think, shit, this ain't party time. So I've had a few credit card lessons over the years. I don't have any anymore. I think I've got one. Do you know what pissed me off about credit cards? Yeah, this is what pissed me off. Yeah, I had a credit card and it probably about $2,000 on it, and I'd never used it. And one day I was on holiday and I got my bank card stolen. So I had my credit card. So I went to the machine and got some money out, and the rest of the holiday I used it. When I got home, bear in mind I've not used this credit card before, and there's $2,000 limit on it. When I got home, The bank sent me a letter saying, we are pleased to tell you we have increased your credit limit to £16,000, right? And I thought, these banks are parasites, mate, because they've looked at that and thought, this guy's struggling. He's used his credit card. He's obviously in the shit. What do? We'll give him another 16 grand and he'll go and blow the lot. Because if I was a young guy and I had a family to feed and I needed to use that card and they'd offered me 16 bag the week after, what are you going to do, Terry?
No, you're going to do it. No, you're right. You're right.
And then that was my lesson with banks, where I thought, if I went to the bank with a business proposition or I wanted a mortgage, they'd tell me to fuck off, right? Because I'm no risk.
Mate, I hear you.
If I went there, if I use my credit card when I'm on my ass, boom, they're offering me big dogs. So my advice is, if you can avoid it, relax on the credit cards, man.
The only time I would say this, I joined the world of banking when that was still going on. And within about 18 months, the crash happened and banks really started changing their ways. They're not perfect now, but they started changing. So I wasn't part of the old school. But all I know is this with credit cards. You should use a credit card, for instance, when you're booking. I'll use a credit card for a few things only. When I'm booking holidays, because you're protected. So if the holiday company you're with goes bankrupt and your holiday falls away, you get your money back if you do it on a credit card, or if you're buying big items, like if you're buying a laptop or a PC or a TV and you're waiting for it to be delivered, I buy it on a credit card. But what I do is I have the cash already, and as soon as it's done and it's booked and I can get them and it's the item arrives, then I pay it off before any interest gets added. That's the best way to use a credit card. But if you can avoid using one, my philosophy is, if you don't have the money, don't spend it. It's typically what I say. And I know there are emergencies, but yeah, that's typically what I would say. Thank you, Chike. Steve, what do we need more in order to challenge for top four? This is from a Chelsea fan. Let's say we get Caicedo. Who else or what do you need to get top four? Big up to the both of you.
Striker situation again. There's a shortage of big dog strikers in this league at the minute. I'm just very interested to watch Chelsea this season to see where they're at. Last season, I thought the harmony in the camp was disgusting. I thought the work levels were disgusting. And I thought that they were doing the fans an injustice and they were just there taking the dough and they didn't give a shit. Pochettino's come in. We know that he demands a certain level of fitness out of his players. And we know that, he'll get them running, he'll get them working hard. And I expect Chelsea this season to not quite have enough in the tank to get in that top four. But I think you'll see where they're at. And listen, they've got loads of money about them. The owners are very ambitious. They'll put it right in the end. You know what I mean? They're never going to drop off like that again. The next season might be a 6th place, 5th place finish. And then I think it's full system ahead then for the Champions League the season after that.
I hear that's great points there. As an Arsenal fan, respect for Steve. I think he is one of the honest, humble fans I've seen on YouTube, unlike Rory, Makola, and Boovy. Big respect to you. Love your unbiased analysis.
Thank you. I'm getting a bit of love this week, Terry, in the chat. I don't know what's gone on here, but last few weeks, the Arsenal, I've been coming on here for the trolling me for the last few weeks, but I'm relaxed now. I'm chilled out now. The football's here. I'm not stressed. People need to relax. Leave me alone, innit?
Jay here says Burnley City prediction.
2-0 City.
There we go. Terry, love the show from Belize, Arsenal fan here. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that a lot. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in today. Remember, we're back at 6 o'clock. We're covering the Caicedo story because I'm sure there's going to be updates. We're looking at Harry Kane. There's some big news coming out about that. Amrabat and more deals. Paquetá as well. So make sure you're back with us at 6 p.m. We've got a full panel for you, and our full Premier League predictions will be on that show. So all come back at 6 o'clock, on the dot. Steve, always a pleasure to speak to you, bro. Always is. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless.